Happy Sunday, ladies and gentlemen. Allincrypto here, and welcome back, guys, for another jam-packed daily market update. We are going to be starting this one off with an exceptionally interesting story that is unfolding in front of our eyes, and it has everything to do with London's bullion market, which equates to around about $900 billion in value moving on chain. In fact, alongside the World Gold Council, London's physical gold market is set to run on distributed ledger technology. We're going to be looking at the kind of news report of this and then actually going over to the official website and actually hearing them talk specifically or directly about the usage of distributed ledger technology in digitizing gold and ultimately introducing to it potentially money-like properties. This is an exceptionally interesting story that we're going to start the video off covering. Then I want to talk a little bit about what we're also seeing. There's kind of polarities in the markets right now across the board. We are seeing a move away from a kind of dollar debt system, but also a move towards it through things like stable coins. So there's a question that's been raised with Bitcoin in regards to value systems and brought into question the one that the globe kind of uses at the moment. And there's a kind of moving away to different forms of value. There's also a moving towards it through the likes of stable coins, which is the US's plan to dollarize the world and maintain that dollar dominance. And we're seeing that in the likes of Venezuela, with Binance dollars now replacing the Venezuelan Bolívar as inflation hits 229%. Talk a little bit about some price action, and then I'll get you ready for the week ahead, because we've got an interesting one ahead of us, predominantly for me with US CPI. We do have UK GDPs, and obviously I'm a UK citizen, but let's face it, this country is, I don't think we're going to get anything good out of it. Anyway, enough of my own bias. Let's cover one of the biggest stories, I think, that nobody is covering right now, and that is that London's bullion market is set to trial digital gold. This is huge. I'm going to take you over to the World Gold Council's website and actually explore. This is an older article. This came out in 2022. But this program about launching of the Gold Bar Integrity Program is all about the digitization. This is what they're now doing. And we'll look at how they're doing it through leveraging distributed ledger technology. But this literally came out just the other day. CNBC reporting on this today. London's physical gold market is on the verge of a major shake-up as the World Gold Council seeks to launch a digital form of the precious metal. The move would transform the capital's $900 billion market, creating the ability to trade, settle, and collateralize bullion digitally around the gold ecosystem for the first time. While many investors value gold because of the physical nature, seeing it as a safe haven asset, David Tate, chief exec of the World Gold Council, argues that bullion must be digitized in order to broaden its market reach. I agree. I think the gold bugs are very right in slow motion. They're kind of right in slow motion, if that makes sense. And I know you guys will probably resonate with what I'm saying there. And I can appreciate, somebody I've learned a hell of a lot off of. Always have this debate back and forth. He's a real great market guy, and he's very much for tokenized gold is theft of your gold, and it's kind of like a phony instrument in replace. And I always argue, well, actually, no. Through a distributed ledger, you can trust what's going on and that token is redeemable for that gold through smart contracts and things like this, and ultimate ownership. I mean, that's what these blockchains introduces, trust, and they're actually enabling industries like the gold industry. Once you can establish that, then you can actually fractionalize gold. You can use it almost as a... I mean, the world of possibilities open up. So yes, I see the negatives. I also see the positives. That's for sure. He goes on to say, Tate told the Financial Times, "We are trying to standardize that digital layer of gold such that the various financial products used in other markets can be used in the gold markets going forwards." It talks about the end of a static asset, Gold hit a record high price. It actually reached our target that we gave in 2022 in the form of that cup and handle pattern. We think the crypto total market's on a similar journey. Anyway, different video perhaps. Hovering around $3,530 per ounce in the early mornings of trading, and has doubled in value over the past 3 years amidst ongoing economic uncertainty and geopolitical tensions. Despite these gains, most banks and other investors view the precious metal as a static, non-yielding asset. Tate argues digitizing gold, on the other hand, could be put to profitable use. He said for the banks, from a collateral perspective, they will make a lot of money as they will get opportunity to use the gold on their balance sheet as collateral. The new digital unit, dubbed Pooled Gold Interests, PGI, which we're going to look at in literally just a second. This is essentially what this is all about. It goes on to say PGI would allow banks and investors to buy and sell partial ownership in physical gold held in separate accounts. It will be trialed with commercial participants in London during the first financial quarter of 2026. The framework of the system will be built on a smaller number of participants, including major banks and trading houses co-owning the underlying gold in the trust. And a battle to beat crypto. We don't need to get into all of this. But gold has historically been a store of value. The digitized format of it, providing you can trust that what you're getting is what you're getting. We spoke to somebody who's working on carbon credits, and they said without DLTs, we just simply couldn't trust that the carbon credits were what they say they were or are. You know, you had in the carbon market people selling trees, the same tree multiple times over. Whether you believe in that market or not, the implementation of a distributed ledger fundamentally solves the problem that market faces, enables it. Seeing this with gold. And actually, if we're to go over and look at a report that they did on this, a long time ago, this is from the World Council. I want to actually show you that they are ultimately planning on using DLT technology. So I'm going to go ahead and mute my mic. We're on their website, and we'll go ahead and get into what this individual has to say that they're doing.
You just heard, have come together to develop a global system of gold bar integrity, provenance, and chain of custody. Leveraging innovative distributed ledger technologies, we will create a transparent database of gold bars that will finally align the global gold market with financial best practice and give consumers, investors, and traders greater confidence in gold as an asset class. Technology is now sufficiently advanced that the physical gold product can now be linked to a digital twin, ensuring immutable documentation, a digital passport, if you like, which will continuously update in real time as the product moves from mine to refiner and circulates in the market. The passport would contain all the relevant standards, record of each bar's purity, ethical sourcing, ESG footprint, and align it with anti-financial crime and AML provisions. With this interoperable global ledger of immutable data working seamlessly with spectacular advances in bar security technology, the gold market is very well placed to vastly improve the statistics I mentioned earlier. The managers, gatekeepers, custodians, and service providers will ensure proper oversight, compliance, and monitoring of gold throughout the gold bar lifecycle, so ensuring ecosystem integrity. And why? Trust and transparency are everything to the gold industry. Equally true if you're a small retail buyer from a shop in India or a powerful New York asset manager seeking returns on vast pools of capital. This global integrity and provenance database will become the golden source of verifiable data to all, encouraging greater market participation and giving consumers, investors, and policymakers the world over the confidence to regard gold as a fully mainstream asset.
Pretty huge. What we're looking at is $900 billion of gold literally coming on chain. I need to do some investigating in regards to who the World Gold Council are actually leveraging in regards to distributed ledger technologies. It will be public DLTs. we'll maybe get an update on that video. But this is huge, and this is all happening at a time, like I say, where there's polarities in markets. There's a move away from the dollar and the system. There's also a move towards it, and we'll talk about that just a second in regards to stable coins. And this is part of the polarized world that is ultimately filled with opportunities. When there is polarity, I have a brother that works in finance, and he walked around London, and he described the state of London yesterday. And it very much sounds polarizing, to put it bluntly. But there are opportunities, of course, in a changing world, whether those changes are good or bad. Foreign central banks, of course, are now holding more gold. I think people know that this is potentially coming, and the usage and utility of gold is going to enhance. We even saw the likes of Tether essentially look to buy gold miners, and they already hold gold on their sort of balance sheet. Very interesting. This is really cool news. We want to know your thoughts on it. Some of you undoubtedly hold gold. I get not giving up your physical gold. I totally understand that. But there is an unlock that's coming for gold as a market, and this might be why we see some of those moves towards gold. You know, Novogratz yesterday said he thinks in the next 12 months you get a BRICS-backed gold currency, crypto-enabled gold currency. Whilst all that's happening, there's that kind of move away. There's a move towards the dollar system. This is Binance dollars replacing Venezuelan Bolívar as inflation hits 229%. As inflation hits 229%, stablecoins like USDT are overtaking the Venezuelan Bolívar for everyday payments for groceries and salaries. And you're going to see this continue. This is part of the dollar remaining relevant. And you're only going to see this continue and be pushed. And we're talking about gold, $900 billion worth of gold coming on chain. You're talking about all currencies essentially potentially coming on chain, all assets. $900 billion is relatively small in the grand scheme of things. You're talking about $450 trillion that's still to come on chain. And we're right at the start of that. That's the real sort of investment opportunity here. But interesting what we're seeing with the dollar. When it comes to the crypto markets, you guys know we said September would be a little bit tricky. I do think you come out the other end of it. We're really not worried at all. In fact, we're just taking this last little opportunity to accumulate what we need. The week that you have ahead of you may signal further weakening data, certainly as far as inflation is concerned. You do have PPI coming down. You likely got CPI going up. So they're expecting 2.8 from 2.7. Not spectacular. UK GDP, one could imagine what the state of that may be. Anyway, I'm going to love and leave you on that note. Interesting story we wanted to recover in regards to what they're doing with gold. Truly the trend that the world is on now to move towards and embrace distributed ledger technologies. And we've heard it from the horse's mouth there, the World Gold Council saying they're using DLTs. I'll need to do some digging in regards to what DLTs they're ultimately looking to use. That's it from me, guys. I'm going to love and leave you. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you all in the next update.